Let's dive into a story that might just spark something in you today. Picture a cozy little coastal town in Maine where the waves crash gently against rocky shores and the smell of saltwater mixes with pine in the air. In this town lived a young woman named Mara. She wasn't famous or extraordinary, at least not yet. Mara worked at a small cafe, pouring coffee and handing out blueberry muffins to the same familiar faces day after day. She had a quiet beauty about her, with a warm smile that made people feel at home. Deep inside, though, she carried a restless dream. She wanted more than the predictable rhythm of her life. She dreamed of opening her own bakery, a place where the smell of fresh bread and apple pie would draw people in from miles away. However, Mar didn't believe she had what it took to make it happen. She would start sketching out ideas for her bakery, including names, menus, and even little doodles of the storefront. Then she would shove them into a drawer, telling herself she'd get serious about it later. Every day, Mara's life followed the same pattern. She would wake up to the sound of her alarm, hit snooze a couple of times, and eventually roll out of bed just in time to throw on her apron and head to work. She spent her shift chatting with customers, wiping down tables, and daydreaming about her bakery while steaming milk for lattes. After work, she came home, kicked off her shoes, and collapsed onto the couch with her phone in hand. Hours slipped by as she scrolled through social media, watching other people live out their dreams. Bakers posted pictures of perfect sourdough loaves, and entrepreneurs celebrated their grand openings. She sighed, thinking that could be her, but she didn't even know where to start. Mara figured success was this big, shiny thing that required some kind of dramatic leap, like a huge loan, a perfect plan, or a stroke of genius. Since none of those felt within reach, she stayed stuck. Her dreams gathered dust alongside those sketches in her drawer. Then one day, something shifted. It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind where the air feels crisp and the world seems to slow down. Mar decided to take a walk along the beach. Her sneakers sank into the sand as she watched the tide roll in. She spotted an older man sitting on a bench, tossing bits of bread to a flock of eager seagulls. His name was Leo, a retired fisherman with weathered hands and a kind twinkle in his eye. He had been a regular at the cafe, always ordering a black coffee and leaving a generous tip. That morning, he waved her over, and they got to talking. Mara found herself spilling her heart out about her bakery dream and her doubts, explaining how it all felt too big to even try. Leo listened quietly, nodding as the gulls squawked around them. When she finished, he leaned back and shared a lesson from his own life. He described how he used to fish for tuna, spending weeks at sea waiting for the big catch. What kept his boat afloat wasn't the rare hauls, though. It was the small, steady work, like mending nets, checking the weather, and rowing out every morning even when the fish weren't biting. He explained that life works the same way. It's not the big wins that build you up, but the little things you do every day, even when you don't see the payoff right away. So, Mara went home that day with a flicker of something new in her chest, perhaps hope or just curiosity. She thought about Leo's words and decided to try something different. She didn't aim for anything huge, just small steps. She started waking up 30 minutes earlier each morning, using that time to sip her coffee and jot down one idea for her bakery, maybe a twist on apple pie or a sketch of a chalkboard menu. She swapped scrolling TikTok for watching YouTube videos about home bakers who turned their side hustles into thriving shops. It felt almost silly at first, like it couldn't possibly matter, but she kept at it. Then she added another habit. Every evening, she spent 15 minutes watching a YouTube video about baking techniques or small business tips. She took messy notes in a spiral notebook, her handwriting sprawling across the pages. Bit by bit, she started testing recipes in her tiny kitchen. She didn't make anything fancy, just a batch of muffins or a loaf of bread. She brought the extras to work, and soon the cafe regulars raved about her lemon poppy seed bars. One guy even asked if she'd sell them. That's when it hit her. These little things were adding up. Over the next few months, Mara kept going. She saved a few dollars from every paycheck and tucked them into a jar labeled Bakery Fund. She cut back on scrolling her phone and swapped it for mixing dough or sketching logos. She even started walking to work instead of driving, using the time to think through her next steps. At first, it didn't feel like much. Her jar had just $20 in it, her recipes flopped half the time, and her sketches were still rough. Slowly, though, the pieces came together. She had more energy from those walks, her baking improved, and that jar started to fill up. One day, she worked up the nerve to talk to her boss at the cafe about selling her pastries there. He agreed, and within weeks, her little creations were flying off the counter. By the end of the year, Mara had enough saved to rent a tiny space downtown. It wasn't perfect, just a narrow storefront with peeling paint, but it was hers. She opened Mara's bake shop, and word spread fast. People lined up for her apple pie, and she couldn't keep the shelves stocked. Until the end, Mara's life became a testament to those small, steady steps. Years later, people asked how she went from pouring coffee to running a thriving bakery. She laughed and explained that it wasn't magic. It was just showing up every day, doing the little things. Her shop grew, and so did she. She became confident and capable, living the dream she'd once stuffed in a drawer. The best part was that she knew it wasn't about luck or some big break. It was about the mornings she chose to get up, the recipes she tested, and the dollars she saved, all one small choice at a time. So here's my question for you. What's one tiny habit you could start today? Maybe it's writing a sentence, taking a walk, or putting $1 in a jar. Drop it in the comments because I'd love to hear what you come up with. Maybe we can inspire each other. If this story lit a little spark in you, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and stick around for more. Success isn't some far-off thing waiting for the perfect moment. It's in the small stuff you do right now. Start today because your future self will thank you.